Alright, so opening the game, first thing to note is this game is very checkpoint based. You need to hit checkpoints in order to keep going. So this hits checkpoint for me. Actually, you know what? I want to redo this. I love how I'm just doing all these live, but... Alright, welcome to theDawn. I am trying to do a live recording of the tutorial, so forgive me if I miss some things or if I gloss over some things. But I wanted to introduce this game to everyone so you all know what it's like and kind of how do you go about speedrunning it. And if you want to do a casual run, maybe a little bit what that looks like. Let me stop my timer. We don't actually need the timer on. I was doing some speedruns before, but this is Maya. Maya is the character you play, and you can see she has a gun. Her gun has two modes to shoot. You have single shots, which you can see here. There's kind of more of a sniper mode, and then she has shotgun. As you can see, the shotgun shoots extremely quickly. It's about as fast as you can click. The single shot though, if you mash, this is about as fast as you can go. If you do it with rhythm though, you can go a little bit faster. So this is a bit more rhythmic, as you can see. You have 10 shots and kind of a long reload, so ideally you want to manage your shot count and make sure that, you don't need to reload too often. Now, something to note about the shotgun is you can see here there are only a few bullets that are hitting the wall. And if I step back a little bit more, even less. If I come closer though, and as I come closer you can see there are a lot more. You can also see there's a wide spread on this. And if I shoot a lot, you can kind of see that like the spread is all over the place. This is important to note because this is both one of the fastest ways to do damage, but also one of the least efficient ways to kill things. We'll get into that a little bit later as we go, because there are some mechanics that I can only explain with enemies. But for now, what you should know is the fastest way to kill something is to headshot them with a snipe shot. The second fastest way to kill something is to get in close and just mash your blast. The reason why mashing your blast is going to be a bit slower is because you used more bullets to do the same amount of work, and then you have to reload. And when you reload more, it's not great. Now, Maya's other abilities. As you can see, Maya has a run speed that is set. She has a dash as well. You can see in the bottom left, you have a dash that recharges pretty much instantly from the minute you hit dash. And you have 6 dashes. So you can see the dash actually goes pretty fast. Hold on, let me recharge this. So recharge time is a little slow, so you do want to consider how you're doing it. But if we go forward, and you see my dashing here, right? I'm not going to time it because that would take a long time. Maybe if I decide to edit this in post, but going back running, you can see it's a lot slower. So you do want to move with dashes, but that depends. This gets back to this thing here, which is a checkpoint. I mentioned before this game is checkpoint based. You'll see what I mean, but basically nothing happens until you hit a checkpoint or you clear a wave. So dashing is a lot more strategic than just mash dash to go faster. Speaking of mash dash to go faster, you can see that I can dash like pretty much immediately after a dash finishes, but I don't get too far. You do want to make sure to time your dashes to catch the end of your last dash. And you can kind of tell when you see Maya move, when you see Maya's arms finally move back in, she has a fixed, basically a fixed pose for her dash. And if you time it right, you can extend your dash all the way and just have her kind of do a small wiggle. Other abilities. Your left shift ability is a time stop. If you put it down, it will stop time in this area for all enemies. You are fine, you still do everything. Your sound is a little distorted. That lasts about 10 seconds, and I believe it recharges in 15. It's very useful for stopping enemies, but also stopping projectiles. Hopefully in the run, you'll see a little bit of an example of that. Lastly, Maya has, well, second to last, because I can't show you the last thing, but Maya has what I like to call a heal, but it's a heal and a time reversal. So if I hit Q, Alright, that was a really poor example of it. You saw the health thing around the screen though, that will heal Maya. When you have your gun out, you can see the health bar beside Maya or beside her head. That will also rewind your position. So let me just walk around a little bit so it actually works and you can see what I mean when I do this. But that move is very useful for keeping your HP up because you take a lot of damage in this game. It can also be useful for some mobility. So let me walk over here and then I'll show you. I believe it can rewind up to 10 seconds. So let's walk all the way here and then I dash back and you can see I'm all the way here now. The game does remember where you were, so you can do, if you plan it out well, you can actually do some interesting movements and kind of be at an area you want it to go back to, go investigate some other area for a potential spawn, and then hit Q to quickly get back. I believe the speed is slightly faster than dashing, so in some cases it can be ideal, but remember this is also your heal. And it's on, I believe it's also on a 15-second timer. So you'll have to be a little careful. Now the last move, and I'll show it to you probably by the time we hit the second hack, is after the second hack, is Maya's ultimate. It's not a screen clear bomb. It will attract a lot of enemies into one position for you and kill all of them while giving you invulnerability. But at the same time, it doesn't kill everything. Enemies that are too far away, or if there are too many enemies, it won't actually clear everything. I don't know exactly how many enemies it can capture. It seems a little inconsistent, but it can be a good get out of jail free card. I believe it's up to 10, and I don't know its range. Now, that's pretty much it for Maya's abilities. You're going to be using dash a lot, you're going to be using snipes a lot, you're going to be using shotgun. The time stop is something to note about your time stop. If you watch Maya's animation, I'm going to mash the attack button right after I click this and trigger it, and you'll see that there is a delay. So there. Until Maya finishes her animation, she can't attack. So while time stop is a useful defensive tool, it's not the best offensive tool. It does have some use, but if you want to go really fast, you'll want to avoid using it until specific situations, which I'll show in the run. The Q button as well, your heal, mostly used for scouting or healing HP. There's really no other use for it. And then your dash, well, it's a dash. Your ultimate takes around 7 seconds to go off, by the way, so be smart with where you use it. It can make things easier, but it can lose you a bunch of time, but in some cases it will save you time, and we'll also go over that in the run. So I believe that's about it for Maya's moveset and abilities. There are glitches you can do with Maya, but we're not super concerned about those. Now let's get started with an actual run. I'm not going to turn on the timer for this. It's going to be more of a casual playthrough, because I want to take some time to talk about some things as well. But I'm going to restart. Oh, actually, let's talk about checkpoints first before I restart. So this is a checkpoint. These show up wherever there is an objective that the developer wanted you to move to. So as you can see, I moved into it and it spawned enemies. This is a great chance to talk about enemies a little bit. There are 3 enemy types in this game. There is the shield bot, there is the normal bot, and there is what I like to call a bird. The birds you'll see a little bit later, but you can see that these guys move, stand still, and shoot. The shield bots will pull up a shield. That was actually a really good example just now of one of the mechanics in this game, a time slowdown. As you're about to get hit by a bullet, specifically by these bullets, the world will slow down a little bit for you to react. Or you can just get hit like I did. It's a good idea to dodge those and try to avoid not getting anywhere near the bullets, because the time stop actually does slow down the whole world. If you have a timer or you're waiting on something, those will slow down as well. To talk a little bit about the AI of these enemies, as you can see, they're kind of moving around a little bit randomly. Enemies will generally move to get into position to shoot you, and then they kind of just get all super random. But that means that you can bait them into a lot of things. So if you move out of their line of sight, for example, if I move over here now, it's going to force them to move because they don't have anything else they can do. If you and while they're moving, as long as you don't get too close to them, they don't really re-queue their next action. So it means that you can really play around with enemies. You can also see that sometimes their pathing isn't the greatest. So there you go, great example. They moved into a position where they could shoot me, and then I moved really quickly, and now they can't do anything. I believe enemies can't really see you when you're dashing, or can't see you well while you're in the middle of a dash, so that can be useful to note. Now, you may have noticed that shield bot is actually picking up on me though. Shield bots, well, first, let me talk about the regular bot, and then I'm going to kill him and show you a headshot. And then we'll deal with this shield bot. So the regular bots shoot 3 bullets, they move. They actually are more dangerous than the shield enemies in that they can cost you more time, but the shield enemies are just harder to kill overall. So I'll show you a headshot. So if you look for the head, it's kind of this whole area that's a head on them, and you can see their accuracy isn't great. But I usually aim for around where the eye is. You can get them on the side like that, and a headshot's always 1 hit, 1 kill. Excellent. Now let's talk about shields. Shields. You can't shoot through the shield. Shields have a bigger hitbox than you expect, and they have a lingering hitbox. So be careful when you kill a shield robot. They may stop your other shots. Something else to note is that some geometry has bigger hitboxes than you'd think, and as well, Maya shoots from the right like you see her. So if you're aiming to shoot something that's through a wall and trying to clip through it slightly, you're going to have a bad time because Maya shoots from the right. This also makes shooting things to the left a little harder because it means that you need to have your right clear. So if you come up really close to something and you're trying to shoot to the left, you won't be able to. All right, shields. First thing to know about shields, they move extremely slow. You want to kill shields as soon as possible because they will slow down. They also turtle. Shield robots have a habit of turtling when you target. So if you ever target, they're much more likely to shield up. And if you dash close to them, they're also going to shield up. So let me come up close to this. You see it shielded up really quickly, went for a shot. The other thing they can do is if you get close, he's not doing it because he's already decided to turtle and shoot. They have a shield bash, like that. The shield bash, as you can see, let me heal up. It knocks you back. You go really slow as you get knocked back. And one of the worst parts is if you get shot at by other bots that are using bullets, those will slow down time, but you are invincible while you get knocked back. So sometimes it could be a good idea to get hit by the shield. Something else to notice about the shield, it does half your HP in damage. It hurts a lot. The bullets, on the other hand, do around a third to 30 to 40% of your HP. So those are nowhere near as bad to get hit by. And as you saw there, as I dashed through, the shield bot it attempted to hit me. This is going to be important for later when we have to dash through some shield bots. You can dash through enemies, you can walk through enemies, they don't have collision, so don't worry about that. But for shield robots in particular, that will trigger them to do their bash attack. Which means make sure that when you go through a shield robot, you have enough dash to get all the way through. Because if you stop in them, they will hit you, and it will hurt. Alright. So for shield robots, how do you want to deal with these? You can't shoot them from the front. You have 2 options. And, well, you have more than 2 options. I just said 2 options because it sounded cool. If they're moving, you can shoot them. they're pretty much free game while they move. Just get around them, and that's easy. You can just dash. Oh, I got slapped. If they're moving, there's also their arm. Their arm is usually pretty free, so you can pick them off from areas that they can't protect. That's not always super reliable though. So the shield does extend out a little bit more sometimes, and there is some wonkiness with the hit detection. So the ideal way to do it is to bait them into walking, or just have them walk and dash up to them, dash kind of away from them. You want to be kind of like this far away while they're walking and shotgun them. Again, another way you can do it is you can come in close, and when they raise their shield, they actually make themselves vulnerable. So if you come in close spamming your shoot button for the shotgun attack, you can kill them then too. It is a pretty reliable way to do things, and you'll probably see it in the run. Now, what do you do when they've stopped moving? Well, you can they turtle like this. You don't really get around them. They actually immediately turn to face you. You could even see that with the warp, they just like turn to face you. Also, their shots track really hard. So if they're not facing you, they can still shoot you. It's usually just a matter of you having moved too fast and the game not updating the model's position. It's not really that bad either, since you get the slowdown to save you, but good to know. Now, if they've turtled up, what you can do is you can freeze them. And when you freeze them, they can't do anything. So that's always good to keep in mind. But like I said, freezing them is slow. So you ideally don't want to do that. Now, something else that I want to show off as well, if I have the opportunity, is the freeze mechanic stops bullets, and bullets can't hurt you here. This is really important. Time freeze will stop projectiles, and when it's finished, they will just drop to the ground. Keep that in mind. It will save your life and make things a lot easier later down the line. Now, how do we get this kill? Well, typically for these, if they start turtling up, one surefire method is just walk up and start shooting at them. You can start shooting at them and aiming for their open side. I don't usually time freeze. In fact, when this happens, I kind of just bite the bullet and say, well, I screwed up. When they start moving though, just go for the kill. Like that. And it was simple. Just 2 shots, get the kill, and you're good. Birds, let's move up to where birds are and I can talk about those. So we'll take a look at the opening part of this run. As you can see, there's dialogue here. And part of the dialogue is that, you know, you're looking to get information in this game. So, of course, you're going to hack things. This is a hacking point. Hacking points are again marked with the diamond symbol. There are another checkpoint. And you press F to hack. Something I didn't note before, all the controls in this game are fixed. There's not a rebind option. You can rebind them yourself, but I'll be referring to them with the default controls, just so everyone knows. Alright, so you can hack. When you start a hack, you'll have this menu open up, and the goal is to let that bar hit the end. Now, some things to know about hacking. If you take damage while hacking, it won't stop your hacking, which is nice. If the thing you're hacking gets hit, then your hacking will be interrupted, which is not so nice. If you remember back, those enemies didn't have great aim. All their shots did not hit me, some of them missed. So if you get shot while you're in the middle of hacking, it's probably going to reset the hack. Now you can see that this time portal, or this time stop, your left shift is really useful for that because it can stop projectiles from hitting the terminal. The other thing to note about hacking is your hack points are always the same, and as long as you're holding F near it, it will always hack. You have some pretty good range on the hack. Like here it won't work, here it won't work. If I come in a little closer, I'm holding F this whole time. You see it starts working. Your direction doesn't matter. As long as Maya is within range, she will start the hack. So one thing that you'll see me do when I do the speed run, or if you check out any of my other speed runs, is I'll move over to the hacking terminal. I'll kind of just do this and then hold F during the conversation. And that will immediately start hacking the minute that it finishes. Okay, so I believe that's it for this first section. So let's hack here. Actually, one other thing to talk about: spawning and spawn locations and spawn manipulation. So first off, spawning. There are two types of spawns. There are fixed spawns and spawn points, which basically give you random spawns. That first set of enemies is fixed. They will always spawn right here. It will always be a shield and a regular ball. In this first area alone, there are a few hacking points. So let's take a tour, or spawning points. The first one is here. So you can have enemies spawn here. The next one is over here. You have enemies spawn either here or here. Next, you have over here, you can have spawns. Behind this wall, you can spawn in some enemies. And down here, there is, right behind this dumpster, there's a spawn point, which I believe correlates to this area roughly. So here. And if I go all the way back here, you can see far back around where this pole is, there's another spawn point near there. All of these can spawn enemies for this first hack. In general though, any spawn point that exists can spawn you an enemy. As of now, I believe that spawns are based on your location. So the chance of spawning something is based on where you are in the map. And for some of them, I think they have a little bit of a custom tuning to it to make sure that you don't spawn from the other side of the map, you don't spawn something over here. But as you can see if you watch some runs of this game, you can get spawns basically anywhere. And it doesn't feel like it follows a rhyme or reason. When I hack this terminal though, what you're going to see me do is you're going to see me dash over here. Pretty much in all my runs. The reason is because I want to manipulate the spawns. If I'm over here, I'm closer to this spawn, and the spawn behind the dumpster, which makes it much easier for me to get spawns closer to me that I can kill more quickly. In this case, I also get spawns by this telephone pole, and I'll also get spawns over here, but I won't get far spawns back here. I've never seen a far spawn back here appear when I kind of camp out over here. So that's good to keep in mind. You can manipulate spawns to some degree. I believe that if you went all the way down here, you probably would get spawns over here and over here. And we'll actually try that for this. And maybe one up here and up there. You could probably cut out the two far ones though. All right. The spawn manipulation is going to be important throughout the whole run. There's basically one area where it doesn't... Okay, it's hard to say it doesn't really matter. But down here, you can kind of see this area here. This is actually where the final fight's going to happen for Chapter 1. This is where spawn manipulation gets kind of shaky. You'll see it when we get to that point though. So, let's hack this. And now you see I move really quickly to my area because spawning happens weirdly. So you see we got 2 there. Let's see. We got 3 there. And then we got 1 up there. That's a pretty reasonable spawn pattern. You can 2, 3, 6 enemies. One thing to note about spawns is you have a minimum and a maximum range of spawns. Usually you'll get the minimum 40% of the time you get +1 and like 10% of the time you'll get +2. +2 is basically RNG did not like you today and decided to give you a little bit more trouble. The types of enemies that spawn aren't really random. Sometimes they are, but most times I don't find them to be. This spawn, for example, always spawns at least 2 shields. It may spawn the additional bot, maybe another shield, but this is pretty typical of what you'd expect. As you saw though, coming down here, force the enemies to spawn here and over here, but I got 1 spawn up there, but I didn't get spawns from any of the other locations that I mentioned. Nope. I'd rather not die right now. So let's see how I decide to take care of these. So I like to go for snipes and watch the bar in the bottom left corner, right above the dash, that white bar that fills up. You can see how much it filled up there, and then see how much it fills up with a shotgun attack. Fills up a different amount. Headshots get you more charge in your bar. That bar is what activates your super. So while it can be easier to kill things with a shotgun, you still do want to favor sniping to a degree. Alright, those enemies are all taken care of. This wave is done. So now what you'll see, there's a bit of a conversation and it activates a new checkpoint. This is what I mean by this game is very checkpoint based, where you'll either have a wave or a checkpoint to let you move to the next thing. As of now, we have not found a way to skip any of these, so yeah, you're playing the game more or less how it's intended. There are some glitches and out of bounds. We haven't found a great way to make use of them, but that's not for this video. So you can see that we need to come up here anyway, which is why I like to camp around here and kind of snipe things. You can get some pretty quick kills. That actually wasn't a bad spawn, so maybe I'll try that in some future runs. But you come up here, we have some new spawns. So this is an additional spawn. You'll always get the 3 bots that spawned here, and sometimes you will get another spawn somewhere else. And those are birds. So let me clear these out, and then we'll talk about birds. Because birds are the worst thing that can happen to you in this game. That was an example of taking the enemies from the shield that had the shield up. Let me kill one. Well, it's fine. We can deal with 2. So birds are, well, you can see why I call them birds. They look a bit like birds. This is their laser attack. Their laser attack will do half your health and damage. If you get hit by 2 of them like this, you will die. You can only tank 1 hit. Now, I think if I move out of range, can I get them to do their missile attack? This may take a little bit to bait out the right attack. Or they may not do it. That's okay too. I actually haven't let these birds live long enough, so I don't know if they even have the right attack programmed in. I've never seen them use missiles. Anyway, they have 2 attacks, they have these lasers. You get a hint to where the laser is going to be. You get an audio cue and the line, which is really convenient. And it takes a little bit for the laser to go off. For headshots, right around here is where you kill them in the head. If you hit too high, you're actually going to miss. So be a little careful, and if you hit too low, you will too. They can be a little finicky to get headshots on sometimes, so just keep that in mind. They don't move much if you don't really do anything. If you're in range, they very rarely ever move towards you. If you aren't in their line of sight, they will move, for sure. Alright, I'm being proven wrong as I speak. But yes, they move like the other robots. So if you're not in line of sight, they will try and search you out. Alright, let's get this kill. You can see I just missed there. That was a hit, and that was not a headshot. They take 2 shots normally. Pretty much every robot takes 2 shots to kill normally. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright. So this is the next part. You can see there is a checkpoint there. Something to note about checkpoints, a lot of them have really generous, areas. This is 5 meters for 3 meters in, you kind of get there. Alright. So I'm going to kill some of these, and you can kind of see what I mean. Alright, let me kill you. I think this one will do missiles. That's missiles. So those missiles will come out and kind of track you. They don't do a huge amount of damage by themselves. You can survive one of those barrages. The problem with missiles is they are very likely to hit what you're hacking. So if you ever have to hack something with one of these around, you really want them to either do missiles or nothing. But missiles get stopped by time stop because they are projectile. You can't shoot projectiles, by the way, so they will also drop and explode. This is important because it makes missiles easy to handle. On top of being fairly easy to dodge, like most attacks in this game, missiles are slow moving, but the hint of them going off is hard to hear. Let me stop talking and you can take a listen. See, that was it. It kind of sounds like a match, not really a match going off, but like something kind of striking fire. Not easy to tell. They also chip you damage. You don't get a time slowdown with the missiles. And while they don't do a lot of damage, it's possible for you to have up to 5 of these things on screen spamming missiles at you basically back to back, which can do a lot of damage. I have lost runs to this before. So this is everything to know about the birds. Ideally, you can tank one of their lasers. You can tank their missiles, but you never want to tank their missiles while you're hacking. When I do the run, you'll see what I mean by that. Or once again, you can just take a look at any of the runs, or watch someone stream it, and you'll probably see what's meant by that. It happens during what I call hack 4 in the splits, but we'll get there. All right, let's get this kill. And that's kind of a quick summary on most of this game. There's not a whole lot else to talk about, except for pointing out all the spawn points as we go. If I haven't yet, there will be an image linked in the description of this video and on the speedrun.com site that shows you where all the enemies can spawn. So you can take a look at that and see where all the possible spawn points are, and then kind of just localize it to each quote-unquote arena. You can think of this as one arena. Where we were before, you can think of as another one. As you see, they lock us off from previous areas. But, for example, this is what I call hack 2. Once you do this hack, you'll have a wave of enemies. You'll notice a pattern. Spawns can happen here. You can get a spawn here. You can get a spawn all the way over there. You can get a spawn in this corner. You can get a spawn here, which is actually the same point as in hack 1. Or actually, no. Yes, this is the same point in hack 1 where you had the far spawn. So I guess not really close to the light, but close enough. You can get spawns here if you come over this way, here and here. And I believe here as well. So as you'll see, there are lots of potential areas that you can get spawns. Welcome to running this game, and welcome to spawn manipulation. There's a reason why you want to try and be in certain places. Also, I mentioned that there are glitches. There are lots of glitches. This actually can help you glitch out of bounds. But I do no glitches. I do glitchless runs. Anyway, this is about it for your basic rundown, and this will hold you all the way up to Blender. I'll do a video talking about Blender probably a bit later, but